There will be a flurry of by-elections in Ditsobotla District Municipality in the Northwest Province today. 20 wards and 19 proportional representation seats up for grabs in the Lichtenburg-based council. The Northwest Municipality was dissolved over gross infighting and maladministration. 15 parties and an independent candidate expected to contest these by-elections. Our reporter Moloko Moloto is in the Northwest this afternoon, tracking developments for us regarding these by-elections. Good afternoon, Moloko. Welcome to today. So what's the latest you can tell us about these by-elections in Ditsobotla?
Well, Braden, what I can tell you is that in the morning it was raining heavily here, and that seemed to have discouraged some of the people from coming out. I mean, at Ward 7 in the small town of Lichtenburg, there were really few people. For the time that we had been there, I think I had counted less than 4 people who had walked in, and all of those were driving. Now, we have since moved to Kolini. This is a township outside Lichtenburg, and I'm being told that in this area there are 5 voting stations in one voting district, and the total number of voters in the voting district is 1,400. Now, in the school where we are at, Mure Secondary School, I'm told that up to so far over 200 people have cast their ballots. Now, if you look back in 2021, when the ANC won this particular municipality, there were about 56,000 votes, valid votes, that were cast, and over 30,000 of those went to the African National Congress, winning 21 seats. And the DA as well as the EFF both got about 8,000 and 9,000 votes respectively, both getting only 6 seats. The other smaller parties shared the spoils. Now, obviously, the reasons why this particular municipality was dissolved was because the infightings within the African National Congress had reached unacceptable levels, brother. And at some point, there were 2 mayors, there were 2 speakers, there were also 2 municipal managers, and as a result, there was no service delivery, and they failed. That is the council, to pass a budget, missing a deadline imposed by the National Treasury. And we all know that without a budget, there is no way the municipality would provide services. So the provincial government in September then decided to dissolve this particular council. That is why today all the 20 wards are being contested, and the 19 PR seats are also being contested. Earlier we caught up with the provincial chairperson of the African National Congress, Mr. Nunomaloyi, who is also the MEC of COCTA, which is the department that is overseeing municipalities in the province. And we asked as to whether, considering the fact that there are some municipalities where there are problems, whether the provincial government is considering to take this radical decision even in those municipalities where they would dissolve councils. He said no, that is not the intention, but they are intervening as the province. And what was interesting was that the ANC decided that all the 21 councillors who were representing the party at Ditsobotla, none of them would be candidates during this by-elections. Let's listen to Mr. Nunomaloyi as he was elaborating further there.
Special votes started yesterday, and we are happy with the turnout from yesterday. Today our volunteers are all over, including going house to house to assist our people to go and vote. Others will go and vote after knocking off from their different workplaces and so on. We are hopeful that the majority of people in Ditsobotla will go and vote, because they want to have councillors who will assist them to address challenges that they are facing in Ditsobotla.
So, Moloko, you said this morning voting was hampered somewhat by the rains, and maybe some of the voters may have stayed away. But is the plan by the IEC that the polls will stay as open as long as possible, or is there a set deadline?
Well, the voting stations, according to the IEC, Braden, are going to stay open at least until 9 p.m. And we know that traditionally, if you happen to be still on the queue by 9 o'clock, they are not going to turn you away. You will be allowed to vote. But up to so far, we have really not seen long queues. In fact, even here, where we were told that over 200 people at this particular voting station, there are no queues, really. And it's understandable because usually the by-elections tend to happen during weekdays, and a lot of people have commitments. They go to work, they have many other things that they tend to do, and as a result you tend to have low voter turnout. The IEC's Provincial Electoral Committee or electoral officer, as I was speaking to her over the phone earlier, she told me that in total in this particular municipality there are 71,000 registered voters. However, they really are not expecting all those people to come out. They expect that at least between 20 and 30% of those registered voters will come out to cast their vote. But we expect that perhaps those who are at work, when they return at about 4 or 5, they will make their way to the nearest voting stations. But if you look at the fact that this factions within the ANC were playing out in public, you therefore want to have people coming out to say the people who were fighting in council are now out. Perhaps this is an opportunity to elect the new ones, whether it would be ANC or the EFF or the DA. At least it is up to them as the voters to decide who must therefore govern them beyond today. Because if they don't, we all know, Braden, that the few who would have come out will decide for them. I am not too sure at this point in time as to when the results will be announced, but what I know is that the voting will commence immediately after the closing of the voting stations, and ordinarily they don't necessarily need to transport these ballot boxes. They will count the ballots inside the very same voting station in the presence of all party agents, and the numbers will be collated. I'm hoping that when we speak to the IEC electoral officer in the province little bit later, she will shed some light as to when the results will be out.